A very good afternoon to you and welcome to Lunchtime News. Come to you live and direct from the Newsfirst Centre here in Colombo. I'm Florine Rajendran. Before going to the stories in detail, here's a look at the headlines.
Police investigation underway over the sudden death of a student in a school in Balangoda. Top-tier officials to be interrogated based on the information provided by MP Duminda Silva. Certain policies of the government obstruct the task of nabbing the corrupt persons, an allegation from the JVP.
In those stories in detail now, a police investigation is underway over the death of a student who suddenly took ill while at school in Balangoda this morning. The victim was an 8-year-old girl. Police media spokesperson SSP Ajit Rona said that 8-year-old Vasana Sevvandi, a grade 3 student, had fainted during the morning school assembly and had been hospitalized. The police said that the child was pronounced dead upon admission to hospital. Police says that it is due to interrogate more top-tier officials based on revelations made by MP Duminda Silva. Police media spokesperson SSP Ajit Rona stated that 3 special police teams have been appointed in this regard. He went on to say that an analysis on the statements made by the drug baron Vale Sudha is also underway. In other local news, a special investigation has been launched into the fire that broke out at the cafeteria of the Karapiti Teaching Hospital. The fire which broke out last night completely gutted the cafeteria of the hospital. The blaze had erupted in the cafeteria of the Karapiti Teaching Hospital at approximately 11:20 p.m. last night. Eyewitnesses also claimed that the fire erupted within the cafeteria. While area residents and the Gaul Fire Brigade did bring the inferno under control, they were unable to save the cafeteria, which is in ruins. While the cause of the fire has not been ascertained as yet, the police believe that it was caused by an electric short circuit. UPFA parliamentarian Headon Collision says that wrongdoers need to be punished devoid of party differences. The MP made this comment at an event in Kosena yesterday. This event was held to declare open the Headon Collision Auditorium and Service Centre in Bombuwala, Kosena.
If a person from the village rides a motorcycle without a helmet, he is fined, penalized and produced in court. Yet no matter how serious the crime is, leaders elected by the people have no cases against them. That means there is a flaw in the entire constitution. My stance is that we all need to come together to rectify this within the 100-day program and move forward. An SLFP government has never punished a rogue of the UNP. Similarly, a UNP government has never punished a rogue of the SLFP. There are no parties for the rogues. A rogue is a rogue, no matter in what party he is in. The SLFP is not the first camp for rogues, and it is not the centre of it, nor the only party with rogues. We know the list of persons in other parties too. Action needs to be taken against all of them, no matter what colour they represent and what party they are in.
General Secretary of the JVP, Tilvin Silva, says that certain policies of the government has caused an obstruction to the task of nabbing corrupt persons. He made this statement at an event held in Chiloy yesterday.
Everyone asks, why haven't the rogues been nabbed? Everyone is waiting for a rogue to be caught. The government's slow-paced policy has become an obstacle for this task. The second reason for this is that the mechanism used for this is old. Although Mahinda was defeated, what is present is the mechanism that was formed during the time of Mahinda. The police is still the old police. The IGP is the same IGP. The same goes with the other institutions. Therefore, those institutions and persons are not keeping in doing with this. Why? Because when you start investigating the fraud and corruption, persons in these institutions too will be connected to it. Therefore, everyone is trying to delay this. Let me give you an example. The Commission to investigate allegations of bribery or corruption. What is the status of law in the country? The President can appoint a bribery commissioner, but cannot remove him. We are filing complaints. Those complaints just get piled up. If the government attempts to cover this up, we will do whatever we can. I wish to state that the JVP is ready to exert pressure by stepping out into the streets with the people. This is what the people are expecting.
US Secretary of State John Kerry has pledged to help Sri Lanka's new government recover from decades of civil war. Kerry made this pledge during a meeting yesterday with Foreign Minister Mangala Samaravira in Washington, D.C.
During his meeting in Washington with Foreign Minister Mangala Samaravira, Kerry commended the 100-day plan for immediate political and economic reform drawn up by President Maithripala Sirisena.
We're particularly excited about the 100-day plan that the new government has put forward. We wish them well in the days ahead, and we're going to talk today about President Sirisena's thoughts about how to move Sri Lanka away from 30 years of war to a country that is inclusive and prosperous and peaceful.
We believe a new Sri Lanka based on the principles of unity in diversity, the diversity of cultures, diversity of ethnic groups, and diversity of religions will be the cornerstone of the new Sri Lanka we are envisaging. And we also hope to revive and strengthen the very strong bonds we have had with the United States for several decades. But of course, there have been the relations have been somewhat strained even in the last few years, and my job, I feel, is to ensure that we put back our relations to an irreversible state of excellence in the coming months, and I look forward to working very closely with the Secretary of State Kerry and of course with the United States of America. For us, for the new administration, the United States of America is not a threat but a great opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you, my friend.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Thank you very much, everyone.
President Maithripala Sirisena says that he expects more criticism, ideas and proposals rather than praise at a time when a new political culture is being established in the country. President Sirisena made this statement while addressing an event in Colombo last evening.
A meeting was held between President Maithripala Sirisena and representatives of the Association of Former UNP Parliamentarians, mass organizations, trade unions and civil activists at the Presidential Secretariat last evening. During the meeting, President Sirisena pointed out, though establishing a new political culture in the country is a difficult task, it is something that must be done. The President was also made aware of the issues faced by the representatives at the meeting as well as the issues of the public. According to the Presidential Media Unit, President Maithripala Sirisena had stated that those issues will be addressed and solutions will be provided for them.
Area residents of the Dambuvata area in Mahara staged a demonstration yesterday, citing that the Gampa Urban Council and the Gampa Pradesh Sabha are disposing garbage in their area.
The protesters charged that garbage is being dumped to a farmland in the Kinigama area in Dambuawata Mahara in the recent days. They state that their area is faced with many hardships as a result of this.
You cannot dump garbage here. It is a populated village. We demand that this garbage be removed. No one is allowed to dump garbage here.
The officers of the Malwatu Hiripitiya police who arrived at the location held a discussion with the protesters along with the owner of the land. The protesters dispersed thereafter.
Meanwhile, on a somber note, one person was killed in a head-on collision between a van and a container in the Gatahatha area in Ayalegoda. The accident, which took place at around 11 last night on the Avisavela Ratnapura road in the Gatahatha area, occurred when a container travelling towards Ratnapura collided head-on with a van travelling in the opposite direction. The driver of the van, aged 23, who was killed in the accident, was a resident of the Hulandava area in Bibila. While the container driver was taken into custody, he is due to be produced before the Avisavela magistrate today. Vasantha Senanayake, the Deputy Minister of Tourism and Sports, visited several national parks yesterday.
The Deputy Minister visited the Somawathiya, Kaudulla, Angamadilla and Minneri national parks and instructed the officials to focus on the shortcomings and take appropriate measures to rectify the issues. It was also decided to initiate new programs to attract tourists to reserve areas. Later, the Deputy Minister arrived at the Maduru Oya National Park and commented on the human-elephant conflict, which is a serious issue in the area.
මේ අලිමිනිස් ගැටුම මේ ප්‍රදේශයේ පවතින එක හේතුවක් වන්නේ.
One of the reasons for the human-elephant conflict to be reported in this area is because there is a lack of food for the elephants in these areas. The reason for this is that private landowners releasing their cattle into the national park for grazing. Because these cattle eat up the food of the elephants and deer, this situation has arisen, attributing to wild elephants storming into villages. Then these animals meet an untimely fate after being attacked with hakkapatas or a homemade firearm or consuming food with poison.
පටස් එහෙමත් නැත්නම් විෂ ද්‍රව්‍ය උන්ට කැවීම වගේ නොඑක් දේවල්.
Minister of Justice and Labour Relations Vijayadasa Rajapaksa and the National Labour Advisory Committee are due to commence a special discussion to address labour law amendments and private sector salary increments. The minister stated that special attention will be paid to increase private sector wages in line with salary increments proposed for the public sector. In some sports news, speaking about the team's readiness for the Cricket World Cup at the pre-match media briefing today, Sri Lankan skipper Angelo Matthews said that the Lankan camp is yet to decide on the playing 11 for tomorrow's World Cup opener against host New Zealand.
The ICC Cricket World Cup 2015 will kick-start tomorrow with Sri Lanka taking on host New Zealand in Christchurch. While Sri Lanka took part in their final training session today, the first 11 that will take on the Kiwis tomorrow is still undecided. Matthews said that despite his team having a poor run in the recent past, losing massively to New Zealand in the ODI series, as well as both their World Cup warm-up games, his men are mentally fit for tomorrow's game. While the team is aware of the shortcomings of batsmen and bowlers in recent series, Matthews was optimistic of his men putting a good show tomorrow as a team.
Yeah, of course. I mean, it's nice to have played a bit more cricket in, New Zealand, before the start of the World Cup. But I think, from tomorrow onwards, whoever who plays, best cricket will obviously go on to win. But I think, we have a slight advantage. We got used to the conditions and we have a fair bit of idea of, what the wickets are like. So, but I think we've got to be aggressive and play good cricket to win against New Zealand. They're on a roll. They've been, winning plenty of games. Yeah, of course. I mean, it matters a lot. I mean, we've got, so many experienced guys, who have.
Meanwhile, World Cup favourites due to their recent form, New Zealand, also took part in their final training session today. Speaking to reporters before the training session, skipper Brendan McCullum said that his camp is fielding a strong and balanced team. Despite their recent success against the Lankans, McCullum did not play down Sri Lanka's competitiveness on the cricket field. The World Cup opener between Sri Lanka and New Zealand at Christchurch will kick-start at 3:30 a.m. Sri Lankan time tomorrow.
And that's a wrap of lunchtime news here at News First. For the News First team, I'm Florine Rajendran. Have a wonderful day ahead of you.
Hotline 0114-896-896. www.newsfirst.lk. Feedback at